Hello everybody, and welcome to another Purna Yoga 828 video. I'm Whitney, and this is Brooke.
Hi.
And today we are going to be doing one of the stars of the Purna Yoga firmament created by our teacher Aadil Palkhivala. This is the hip series. And if you do this series every day for a while, you will be finding a greater mobility in your hips, greater length in your hamstrings, greater strength in your quadriceps, a freedom in your low back, and an awareness of your body that you will find genuinely transformational. This is a spectacular series. And in this series, we take our hips through the 6 ways that the hips can move. And that's flexion, adduction, abduction, internal and external rotation, and extension. Now, I do have to say that if you have been through a hip replacement or hip surgery where your musculature has been cut, you should only do the first and final move of the hip series. That's flexion and extension. And if you have any questions about that, you can either consult your doctor or contact us at purnayoga828.com, and it may be that you need to have some private therapy before you join in unguided online classes. All right, so with all that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. Our first move in the hip series is flexion, and you're going to need a strap for this move. So come onto your back with your legs together, and keeping your left heel right where it is on the ground, bend your right knee and take your strap to the top of your right heel and bring your right leg up to straight. Hold the strap with a straight arm and a relaxed shoulder. Now notice that Brooke has the strap closer to her heel than to her big toe mound. This is so that we can take the stretch more into the hamstring than into the calf. All right, so once you get your leg up, spin your leg on the ground in and activate the foot of the leg on the ground. Then lift the pit of your belly in and up towards your sternum. Stretch your right heel up and draw the arch of the right foot through your shin and lift your kneecap towards the top of your right thigh to contract your right quadricep. And now draw your right hip forward to lengthen your side waist and balance your hips. Send your breath into your hamstring. This is a pose for lengthening the hamstrings. Then bend your right knee. Take your right foot down right next to your left foot and bend your left knee. Place the strap at the top of your left heel and take your left leg up. And same thing here. Internally rotate your right leg. Lift your belly in and up. And as you stretch your left heel up, draw your left hip forward. Pay attention to your breath and send your exhalations into your left hamstring to allow it to lengthen as you contract your left quadricep. The contraction of the left quadricep allows for the reciprocal inhibition of releasing the left hamstring. Then bend your left knee, lower your left leg down, bring it back to the same side. Our next move is adduction. So bend your right knee, Place the strap at the top of your right heel, and then you're going to hold the strap in your left hand. And actually, you're going to take the strap and bring the tail of the strap around the back of the right leg and hold in your left hand so that you're guiding the leg into the move with the strap. You're going to take your right hand and bring it to your right hip crease and bring your right foot in line with your left shoulder. Strongly internally rotate your left leg and activate your left foot. And stretch this heel up and then press forward with your right hand to lengthen the outside of your right leg. This is adduction. You're using the strength of your inner thighs where your adductors are to draw the leg over, stretching the abductors on the outside of the left thigh. So you stretch your right heel up, draw your right toes down towards your left shoulder. Then cross back over the midline, lower your right leg, and take your left leg up. Take your tails around the back. Hold on with your right hand. Bring your left hand to your left hip crease. Internally rotating your right leg and drawing your right thigh down towards the ground. Push forward with your left hand as you draw your left foot towards your right shoulder. And then stretch your left heel up away from your left hip as you draw your left toes down towards your right shoulder. Stretch the outside of the left leg and strengthen the inside of the left thigh. Cross back over the midline, bend the left knee, lower the left leg. And our third move in the hip series is abduction, taking things away from the body. So bring the right leg up, and this time you're going to hold the strap with your right hand. You're going to bring your left hand to the top of your left hip, right at the bony bump. Keep this leg internally rotated, locked into the ground. Lift your belly in and up. And exhaling, wind your leg out to the right as you move your hip to the left to open the pelvis. And come balancing onto your right glute. So you let your left glute lift up off the ground and stretch your right foot away from the body, but draw the right leg back into the hip socket so that you're creating a bungee effect to stretch the inside of the right thigh. Strengthening with the adductors on the outside, stretching the adductors on the inside. Abductors on the outside, adductors on the inside. Exhaling, pick your right leg up. Bend your right knee, lower your right leg down, and change sides. Same action here. Strong internal rotation with your leg on the ground. Strong lift of the belly in and up. And then exhaling, wind your left leg left as you move your right hip right and come balancing on your left glutes. And stretch your left hip away from the body as you draw the left leg back into the socket. Bring your awareness back to your breath. A little bit more quad contraction. Brooke to straighten the leg. Yeah, that's it. Exhaling, take the left leg up. Bend the left knee, lower the left leg. And we're going to pause here for a couple of breaths to feel the effects of the first three moves of the hip series. And You can always just stick with the first 3 moves of the hip series. If you do them every morning, you won't believe how much better your hips and legs feel. All right, so as a transition between the first 3 and the last 3, we're going to do a little bit of core work here. So this is to strengthen the adductors and the abductors on the inside and outside of the legs, and also to prep the body for internal and external rotation. So we're going to take your hands out to T position. And bring your legs up into 90, 90, 90. All right, so notice how her feet are active in this pose. And on her next exhalation, you take your knees to the right as you look to the left. You're doing this mainly with the outside of the left thigh rather than the inside of the right. But when you come picking back up on your next exhalation, move with the outside of the right thigh. And bring your knees over to the left, drawing this right hip forward so this right knee can move in line with the left. That's it. Look over at your hand pointing away from your knees. And keep this right shoulder blade grounding. And then pick your legs back up. Pause for your inhalation. And you can do anywhere from, say, 6 to 9 of those. We're actually going to move on. So you can go ahead and pause the video and do as many as you would like. Go ahead and lower your legs, Brooke. And then bring your soles of your feet together, your knees out wide into a reclined Baddha position. All right, to work on strengthening the adductors and preparing the body for external rotation. From the inside of your thighs, lift your legs up, drawing the knees as close together as possible. And then as high up as you can get, squeeze them together for a breath, then exhaling, float them back down. Now the most important thing about this is that you want to keep it practical instead of performative, and you're going to have the impulse to lift up with your glutes so that you can succeed as much as possible. We don't want to do that. Keep your glutes soft and keep drawing up and in from the inside. Hold as if you were squeezing a beach ball. And then exhale, come back out. And once again, you can do anywhere from 6 to 9 of these. And once again, do as many as you like, but we're going to move on right now. You can always pause the video, do as many as possible. We're going to move into the next part of our hip series, which is internal rotation. Now for internal, external rotation, and extension, it's very important to remember that we don't tolerate knee pain in these positions. And I'm going to show you some ways to keep your hips balanced and to keep your knees supported. But if you have any knee pain in the descriptions that I give you, you need to back up out of these poses. Could I have had more prepositions in there, do you think? Until such point as you're not experiencing any knee pain at all. right? And you can work on standing poses, other poses to strengthen the musculature around your knees until you don't experience knee pain in these poses as you attempt them. All right. So our first in this series is internal rotation. So how you're going to start in internal rotation is exactly as Brooke is doing right now, with your knees bent, your feet at a casual angle away from your sitting bones, right about at a 90-degree angle. Then you're going to step your right leg out to the side, about 4 inches off of the mat. You're going to turn your right knee down until it's pointing at the short edge of the mat away from your head. Then you're going to strongly activate your right foot, moving your right pinky toes towards your outer right knee. And then before you decide to do that, you're going to first look up and see, oh my goodness, I need to move my knee so it's kind of straight out of my hip. Like so. And then you're going to find out, you're going to ask yourself, do I have any knee pain here? I'm actually going to ask Brooke, do you have any knee pain here?
No, I do not.
No knee pain here. Then she can pick up her left foot and cross it over the top of her right thigh. Now, if you were to have your knee higher off the ground than Brooke does, I would recommend placing a block or an egg underneath your knee or a blanket or something in such a way so that the knee was supported. All right. And once you get into this pose, lift the belly up. Move the right knee away from the lift of the belly so that you're creating a traction, and spin your right leg internally in the joint as you draw your navel to the right, bringing a little subtle twist to the pelvis so the hips are moving against the femur as the femur is moving against the hips. You keep that knee and that belly moving away from one another to create the traction that allows for the safe spin. Hold here for about 6 breaths. And then pick your left leg off the top of your right thigh. Then come back into the midline by bringing your foot flat to the ground. And then heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, walking back in to stabilize the musculature. Look up to make sure that you are flat on your mat, legs together. And then step your left leg out and bring your left knee down. Same thing here. After you have firmly activated this foot, check in to see if there's any knee pain. If there's not any knee pain, then lift. If there is knee pain, lift your leg up higher. If there is no knee pain, lift your right leg up, cross it over the top of your left thigh, and activate your right foot just as strongly as your left. And then draw your left knee towards the short edge of the mat away from your nose. Draw your belly up towards your nose, and spin your left leg internally as you draw your navel to the left. And maintain all those actions. And focus on the feeling and the breath for 6 breaths. Don't try to analyze things so much, because then you may move into a position of force and ego. After 6 breaths, pick your right leg off the top of your left, heel toe on in with your left foot. And then our next move is external rotation. So for external rotation, you separate the legs to hips width apart. And first off, you have to know which version of external rotation you're going to do. So we're going to go into how to figure that out right now. So in order to get a good read on your external rotation, cross your left leg behind your right ankle and take your left knee to the ground. With an active left foot, pick up your right leg and cross your right foot over the top of your left thigh and turn your right knee outward. All right. So what we see here in Brooke is actually right on the line between needing to do the double leg, between doing the double leg version of this pose and needing to do the single leg version. The leg, if the leg is at or higher than a 45-degree angle, then we do the single leg version. If it's lower than a 45-degree angle, then we do the double leg version with a lift. Brooke is right on the line. If we wanted, could lift her left knee up here and place a block directly on it to bring a balance to her hips. But I don't know if you can quite see in this angle, but she's still got a little bit upward angle towards her right side. So we're going to have her do the single leg version. So lift this knee up so I can take this block out. So in this case, straighten your left leg and cross your right leg over the top. And find your strap. Wrap the strap around your right ankle and hold on to the strap more like a ski pole, Brooke. Spin this right leg out externally as you lift your belly in and up. And you can actually use a block here to sort of encourage the leg to spin out externally, helping to open the pelvis and open the internal hip flexor. Now, doing the double leg version of this, you would actually draw both knees away as you lift your belly in and up and spin your legs outward. Hold for anywhere from 4 to 6 breaths. And then if you've decided you're doing the single leg version of this, then undo your strap, straighten your right leg, cross your left leg over the top. Spin your left thigh out externally as you lift your belly up. The lift of the belly and the movement of the knee away from the lift of the belly is where you create the traction that allows for the spin, so don't slack off on that. This right foot internally rotated and active. If you're doing the double leg version, cross your right leg behind your left, take your right knee down, cross your left leg over the top of your right thigh, and then look up at your hips, and if one hip is higher than the other, strap the opposite, or put a block under the opposite knee so that your hips come into balance. All right, and pick the left leg up over the right, or take the right leg out take the left leg from atop the right, and uncross yourself, roll over to the right side, and we're ready to go into the final move of the hip series, Ekapada Supta Virasana, what we also call extension. And this is where you really stretch your quadriceps out, particularly rectus femoris, which is one of the longest muscles in the body and which is one of the only muscles in the body that crosses two joints. Starts up here crosses across the top of your thigh and then joins at the knee. So that's what we're going to work on today. So the first thing, there's about 4 different ways that we can approach this pose. So hopefully we have figured out a way to show you all of these different variations. Starting out, for everyone who can sit in Virasana, sit Virasana like Brooke is doing, sitting bones on a support, knees pointing away from the body. And now Brooke is going to pick up her left knee and bring the left knee pointing at the ceiling. A safety point to consider in this pose at all time is no matter where you are, if this leg comes off the ground and then cannot come back onto the ground, you need to be higher in this pose than you have put yourself with your leg lifted. All right, Brooke, walk your hands back. So keeping this right knee on the ground, lean back until you feel a significant stretch in the top of your right quadricep. If you lean back and feel like you can go lower, come down onto your elbows. And if you can go further back still, bring a support behind you like Brooke has done here onto your bolster and come lying back. Have support for your head so that you can relax. Then lift your belly in and up. Keep your right shin grounded, your right knee moving into the mat, away from the lift of your belly. And then place your right hand on your right foot and push forward, and also give your sole of your foot a little massage. Now, if you are able to lie on the ground with your knees up and simply pull your right leg back, that's another option for this pose. And if sitting in Virasana is uncomfortable for you, then you can lie on your belly, bend your right heel towards your right glute, and either hold on to your right heel with your right hand or with a strap. All right, so in order to change positions of this pose, you can either bring your hands to your side and lift yourself up with your chest, keeping your head relaxed, or you can simply change sides and pull your left leg back and bring your right leg up. And then come back to the same position as you initially were. Now you may discover, because of imbalances on either side, that this knee pops up off the ground more quickly than the other knee does. And that being the case, you have to remember the way it was on the second side when you do the first side again, because we don't want to create greater imbalances in the body. Whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other. So for instance, for external rotation, if you can do the double leg on one side and can't do the double leg on the other side, you need to do the single leg on both sides until you're open enough to be able to do the double leg on both sides. Because we are in yoga, we are creating balance, we are not into creating imbalances. All right, after you've hung out in this pose, this is a pose that you should stay in for longer than 6 breaths. This is a pose that requires patience. In fact, as you are hanging out in this pose, being with your breath, breathing into your quadriceps, draw your knee on the ground in towards the midline until it's coming straight out of your hip like we worked on in internal rotation. But this is a pose that requires patience and that you should stay in for as long as you can. Usually your quadriceps will tell you when it's time to come out. When it's time to come out, bring your hands to your side. Press down, straighten your arms, lift yourself either up and out or untuck your feet and roll over to your right. And it's usually a good idea here to center the mental energy. Bring the attention of the mind that has been brought into the body down and into the heart center to integrate all of your diligent work into a place of feeling and focus. All right, so that is Aadil Palkhivala's hip series. I'm Whitney. This is Brooke. Thanks so much for watching the video. Please check out some more of our videos and come see us at a live class sometime at Purna Yoga 828.com.